This is the Good Bit Podcast, everybody. Welcome in. Thank you very much for joining us this week for a little bit of a makeshift episode. I've had a very busy week, not one to complain, but listen, it has been a very busy week and it has actually prevented me from getting an episode done. So what I always do in these situations is I shout my old loyal, my sister Rachel, is back once again. You were only on not too long ago. Yeah. You were on right before we went on holiday, so there's something that we can talk about.
2 whole months ago.
2 whole months.
Didn't feel that long ago.
Yeah, no, we took a wee bit of a break, like when I was on holiday, just like at the end of the season or whatever. But I guess it is 2 months, so it is quite a long.
Well, it was 2 months ago we went on holiday, so it would be more than 2 months ago we did the podcast.
And that was about Dead Poets Society. So if you like that film, then please go and listen to that one. Whereas this one's a little bit different. Dead Poets is a film that you really like, and is one of those ones like I've asked you like to pick a film or whatever. I know it really wasn't that for that in, like particular episode, but out of a film that you would go, oh yeah, I really like it or whatever. Whereas this one, this week that we're going to chat about is a brand new film.
Yeah.
And when I saw it was coming out, I immediately thought of my sister because you're quite a big reader.
Yeah.
And you have read this book of Where the Crawdads Sing.
I did. I had the book. I got it for like my birthday or something last year, I think, maybe, or Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And then the film was coming out and I was like, oh, I better hurry up and read it before the film comes out, right? So I start pure because it started being like advertised. So I was like, oh, better hurry up and get to it. So it was like one of the first books, if not the first, I read when I finished my uni stuff this year. And then I looked at it and the film wasn't coming out till July. And I was like, why did I just panic read it in March? But I mean, at least then I'd read it in advance. Yeah,
I just had it in my head that it was a book that you really liked. Maybe it's not just like a recent one, but it turns out it was. So
it was a recent one.
Yeah, and
it was.
Is it one of those books that you really liked and you would say was one of your like top 5 of the year? No.
I liked it. I felt it was a little bit overhyped. Just a smidge.
Okay.
I don't really understand why everybody was so obsessed with it. Like,
there
it was
another
fine.
book that came out about that, wasn't there? There was another book that came out that was similar to that recently, and everybody was talking about it, and you were like, "I don't know what the hype is about."
Well, don't make me say that, and
okay,
I'll get in trouble if I talk bad about that book.
I don't know if this is a book community. Listen to this one, but
it was a book called The Song of Achilles.
Right, that's it. Song of Achilles. I felt everybody in my grad was reading it.
It was a good book. Her writing's good. The characters were good. I just got bored. And I also don't know anything about Greek mythology, so I got slightly confused at times. But that's my problem, not the book's fault.
Yeah.
But no, Crawdads, I really liked Crawdads. It was just, I liked parts of it. And again, I kind of felt like, not bored, but it kind of just lost me. I was like, right. Okay. Like, it was just talking about nature the whole time, which obviously is the point of the book. But just for me personally, I wasn't that fussed about it. But I really liked Daisy Edgar Jones, who was cast to play Kaya. So I was excited about that.
Where else do you know Daisy Edgar Jones from?
So
I said that weird. Daisy Edgar Jones.
Daisy Edgar Jones. She was in Normal People.
Me and Mrs. Jones.
Beautiful. Beautiful. She was in Normal People, and that is a book of pure love. And so much so that I've read the book, watched the show, then rewatched the show with the book, the scripts of the book of the show.
Was that a Christmas present?
What, the scripts? I think so, yeah.
I remember that one.
But yeah, so I did that. So I love Normal People. So I love her in that. And then she was in Fresh with Sebastian Stan. That came out earlier this year as well.
If you listened to the last episode that Rachel was on, we chatted about Rachel's Sebastian Stan watch through.
I've just realised.
Oh yeah.
I've come decked out in Winter Soldier merch, like not even on purpose. But okay, we'll talk about Sebastian Stan again.
Okay. Any Sebastian Stan fans listening, you can check out the video version on the YouTube channel where you can see Rachel's gear.
My fit.
Winter Soldier outfit.
I'm not in the Winter Soldier outfit. That'd be
No. There's an idea of a Halloween though.
I know, I thought about that.
You thought about that?
I'm going to a concert on Halloween, so I need to dress up.
Oh yeah.
I haven't dressed up since I was in like first year of high school, so I'm going to think of something.
Who are you going to see?
A singer called Dylan.
It's just Dylan, no second name?
No, her name's just Dylan.
Oh, I thought you were doing that thing where it's like you say it as if you know them.
No.
You're like Harry.
She just goes by Dylan, like
Sam
Adele,
Fender.
Beyonce.
Yeah, like Beyonce.
Yeah.
I understood that reference.
Anyway, sorry. Where are we talking about?
I don't know, but listen, you are going to a concert on Halloween. Is that like the unwritten rule that you need to dress up as something?
Yeah. So like Harry does it whenever Harry does a concert.
That's exactly my point. It's Harry, not Harry Styles. We know him as Harry.
Yeah, but that's different. I have a tattoo for this man. Okay, I'm allowed to say it. he does a concert called Halloween.
Alright.
And then,
That's
because
fun.
whenever it's on Halloween, so then everybody goes dressed up. He was as Dorothy from Wizard of Oz one last year. It was really fun. Was that last year? I don't know if it was ages ago. But, and he had this other outfit as well. But, so everyone goes dressed up to the concert. And everyone's like, oh, what's he going to dress up as? I've been to a concert on Halloween before.
I know, I remember. Ed
I went
Sheeran.
to see Ed Sheeran, but I did not go dressed up to that. I did take my iPad though.
I think every Halloween you should dress up as a different Sebastian Stan character. now that you've watched all the back catalogue, I think that's a
don't
good
think
idea.
that would be possible.
I don't think we're doing anything for Halloween this year. Obviously it's a bit early. But like last year was the most committed I've ever been. Like I dressed up as Captain America.
We will be doing something.
Bought the singlet and everything. But this year I don't want to go all out like that because it was a really expensive Halloween. However, I have an idea. I want to go as like a wrestler. Like, why not? But I could try and put it together like in a kind of cheaper way. You know what I mean? Instead of buying an actual outfit.
Just think about what it would look like if I tried to go as different Sebastian Stan characters for Halloween.
So you've got the one from The Martian.
What would I just wear a spacesuit?
Yes,
I
that's
just
it.
wear
Well,
one
at
of
least
the big.
that's an outfit.
And they're like, "Oh my god, are you a spaceman, a space girl, whatever?" I'd be like, "An astronaut" would be the words that I'm looking for there.
A space
And
A
I'd
star
be like,
girl.
"No, I'm Chris Beck from The Martian," and they're like,
Yes,
"Okay."
Sebastian Stan's Martian. And then you've got the one from Fresh.
Yeah, I don't think
You could walk about with blood all over your mouth.
This isn't a spoiler alert, but the cannibal in the film. So
Yeah.
I don't think I'm going to go to. But to be fair, it is just a shirt he wears. Like it's not. He doesn't have a costume.
Is it a white shirt?
No.
Oh, it's just because anytime you see white, you think, oh, it's
He
going to cover
does,
blood or
though.
whatever for the effect.
Don't want to spoil that film. I'll not talk about that one.
Why don't you? Oh, because you want me to watch it?
But yeah, it's not really a spoiler, but I'll end up talking about Fresh for the.
Okay.
We're not talking about Fresh. We're talking about Daisy
Well,
Edgar Jones's other film.
I'll tell you what, listen, if next time you want to come on, by the time then I will have watched Fresh and we'll chat about that one.
Okay.
Fresh and Spree.
Spree, yes, with
Spree-
Joe Keery. That's not good Sebastian Stan.
Fresh, Spree. Oh, really? Okay, that's what Daisy Edgar Jones is in?
No, just Joe Keery's in it.
Joe Keery.
Who's in? Does Chris know his knowledge?
Joe Keery.
You probably don't know who that is.
I don't know who that is. He's in what?
Take a guess. Just something random. Not something random, but like guess something random. I mean.
Gossip Girl.
No.
Normal People. Stranger Things.
Stranger Things.
Yes.
Well done. Steve from Stranger Things.
Hey, Steve.
Anyway.
Yeah, fair. Speaking of Steve, I'm rewatching Making a Murderer.
Steve is Seb's character's name in Fresh.
And Steve is Captain America's name.
Anyway.
Speaking of Steve, why did we say that a moment? I'm rewatching Making a Murderer on Netflix because myself and Iona went to see Making a Murderer the musical at the Edinburgh Fringe.
Did you?
Um,
You didn't tell me that. How can you have a musical making a murderer?
You
No, that's-
actually were like, what did you see at the Fringe? I went like, I saw Neve's dance show, I saw my mate Chloe Ann Tyler on a show, and then I saw Making a Murderer the musical. You went, oh cool.
I don't remember.
And then you said, oh, was Neve sing good? I went, yeah.
I don't think I was listening.
Making a Murderer the
That's
musical.
something I should have seen, right? Not the musical.
Making
the
a Murderer?
actual show.
Yeah. It's maybe, well, I don't know all the other documentaries, but it's one of the best documentaries I've ever seen.
Just watches one documentary. It's the best. That's me every time I watch another Marvel film. I'm like, this one's the one.
I do take upset.
It's okay. Start again.
What was I trying to say? I do take objection to that. When some people are like, just finished, wrapping this film, the hardest working cast in the world.
Oh, shut up.
And you're like, how do you know? Like, how do you know?
Every cast?
Are you on
ever?
every set? So yeah, the best documentary ever made. No, I don't know that. But I mean,
No, it is so talked
it's
about.
really,
It is
really
one of those
critically
ones.
acclaimed. And the Making a Murderer musical was just set, I believe it was a small kind of either Scottish or English company, set at the Edinburgh Fringe. It starred a former lecturer of mine, Amanda Beveridge, and who we saw, and then was ill during it. So she was apologising afterwards, but we still thought she was great. And it was like a really good musical. The songs were really good. It's really emotional and stuff. But it was like 50 minutes. And it's like, this could easily be a 2-hour thing. They could take it to the West End.
Yeah.
Like, people would go and see it. It's so popular.
That's interesting.
So it was a cool kind of trial run, I guess, of it. And I'm not saying they're going to take it on. I just think they could and should. And if they would do that, then I would definitely go and see it. Not saying they need the same cast or anything, but the guy they cast is Stephen Avery. I mean, it could be him. It was so
Let's hope it's
accurate. But yeah, no, you should definitely watch Making a Murderer.
I will.
Just after I saw that at the Fringe, I was like, right, okay, I'm going to check it out again. And it's 2 seasons. Episodes are over an hour each, so it's a big commitment for someone like me that's terrible at watching TV shows. I was going to say to you before we started this, let's try and do this in one take so there's not much editing. And I'm like, oh, Daisy Edgar Jones. But yeah, speaking of the Fringe, we can talk about that.
I finally went to the Fringe.
Yes. What to see?
I went to see My Lovely Brother in a play about Jesus. It was called something Rising.
Jesus
Rising?
in the Fringe. It was called Hope Rises.
Hope Rises, that's it. I knew it was something Rises.
Yes.
The woman when we went in, I forgot to tell you this, the woman we went in, are you here to see Hope Rises? And Mum went, just stood there. And I was like, yeah. Because like Mum was like, is that what it's called? I don't know what it's called.
What did Mum do? She
was just like, Dad's like marching upstairs already. I was like, yeah, thanks.
Yeah, thanks.
Try to be polite to this
God
poor
bless.
lady, just try to help us.
Yeah.
Yes, it was in a lovely church.
Mm-hmm.
It smelled like old people in there, but like it smelled kind of like Glasgow Uni, which is where I got uni. And I walked in and I went, it smells like my uni in here. And I was like, must be a thing with old buildings.
That's definitely it.
That's what we're going to talk about. Instead of talking about you in the Fringe, let's talk about the smell inside Glasgow Uni.
In the church, in the universities.
No.
Yeah, we're
it was
not
wonderful.
Alright. You want to give the review?
It was wonderful. I had a lot of fun.
We
got bread.
Let me tell the backstory first. So, it's my Fringe debut. If you don't know, the Edinburgh Fringe Festival is this massive kind of theatre and stand-up comedy festival that's based in the capital of Scotland every summertime. And I have never performed at it. I've been there many times as a viewer, I get audience member, but never performed at it. And this was, I mean, it counts because it was part of the Fringe Festival, but it wasn't like put on by the Fringe company. It was put on by a company called Cutting Edge Theatre in association with the Edinburgh Fringe and something called the Sacred Arts Festival.
I saw that.
So that was fun. And I got involved there. One of my acting friends, Luke Rowe, who we've been trying to get on the podcast, who may be on in the next couple of weeks, has a great look about him. He's got a beard and long hair. You know, can depict Jesus really well.
Yeah,
so
good.
Every kind of Easter and Christmas, he does this kind of like Easter or kind of like show about Jesus and religion and stuff like that. So they needed someone to play Judas for the Fringe version of this story, and he sent me a text and I was totally up for it. Again, you know, it's like a Fringe thing. Happy to be involved, and just to say you've performed at a big festival like that, it's just quite cool. So happy to do that, jumped on board. It was 2 days of rehearsals, then a 2-day run. Would have preferred a little bit more time, I think. Would have been nice to do a couple of extra shows. Only doing 2 shows is difficult, but again, I was quite happy to do whatever. And yeah, we did it at a church. It was a kind of promenade, kind of in the round kind of theatre show, so there wasn't like a stage and an audience. It was like in the church, we're doing the action on the kind of floor, and then the audience was supposed to kind of walk to each part where the action's taking place. But because it was a church, it wasn't really the sort of place where you would normally walk around like that.
It's been heavy noisy as well. I would have been like,
yeah, I know.
what are you saying? Like if everybody was walking about.
I know. But because there was such a big cast as well, it was supposed to be like some of the cast members or audience members, and
that
you
did
can
come
kind of
across. I think that came across quite well.
kind of mix in and stuff like that. So overall, it went down really well. Got some nice feedback and stuff, but just would have preferred a little bit more time to work on it and then also to actually perform it. Yeah, but as someone that's not like religious or like goes to church and stuff, did you enjoy the show?
I did. Do you know what one of my first thoughts was though? I need subtitles in real life. I watch everything with subtitles, and not that like these people are obviously actors that are like projecting their voice and they're speaking clearly of everything like that. But see if you like either don't know what they're talking about or like you like pay attention to something else for like a millisecond, I was like, I'm lost. Help. I was like, hold on, next person talks so I can tune back in. But that wasn't their fault, that's just me being
right. And it's also in a massive church, so the acoustics are, I mean, the acoustics are like, those buildings have got high ceilings, so they're made for sound to
there was this one guy
carry.
Who was so loud every time he spoke, and I was like, which is good, but I was like, whoa,
yeah,
you're loud.
I was trying to be loud.
You are loud.
I'm a loud person. But only a
I was
couple
like,
of
that
us-
explains why he talks like that at the dinner table.
And there's only a few of us that were like actually like theatre and acting trained, so we were like me and Luke and stuff
That was
were
quite
like
cool. I didn't know
used
that at the time.
to kind of project and stuff, so that's just what you do in a show. But as I was saying, like these old buildings, these churches are made for sound to travel, because it's like for
Yeah,
ministers
choirs
and priests and
and
choirs
stuff, yeah.
to stand at the front of this massive hall and have his voice heard and stuff. Like back in the olden days, no microphones and stuff. You know what I mean? So yeah, and I thought the lighting was really cool. A lot of the times when
It
you've
was
got a big
cool.
space like that, they can do stuff. So
It was really cool.
yeah, we will chat about that more when we actually have the star of the show, who played Jesus, on at some point in the next couple of weeks. I'd love to get him on. We talked about it on the train on the way there, so it's definitely in the works. And when he comes on, we'll chat about it. But thanks for coming. You didn't
You're
have
so
to.
welcome. It was fun. I got a day out in Edinburgh, so it's always worth it.
Yeah. Another thing we could chat about is that today is my last day of being 24 years of age.
Yes.
Um,
I was sitting going, what? As if like, what's I about to say?
today is my last day doing the podcast.
My last day living on the deck.
And receiving.
And
giving.
Anyway.
Yeah, so it's my birthday tomorrow. So what I thought I could do was I'd run through films that I watched for the first time in my 24th year. And I
Okay.
could look at some of my favourites.
Fun.
So you're just here
That's
for the
a
ride.
fun little segment.
Yeah, so here are films that I watched for the first time when I was 24. First one was Don't Look Up. Watched that on the first day of the year, 1st of January 2022. The kind of new one with Leonardo DiCaprio and Jennifer Lawrence.
I don't remember this film at all.
Then there was Titanic, massive film.
You saw for the first time at 24 years
Saw
of
it
age.
for the first time. Really enjoyed. Not as long and like hard to watch as I thought. Actually, really interesting and
It
exciting.
doesn't. It goes by quicker.
Yeah. Legally Blonde. When we started this new format of The Good Bit, different guests on every week. My first guest was Madeline McGurk, one of my acting pals, and her choice of film was Legally Blonde. A lot of these have been chosen by like guests of The Good Bit and stuff, and I guess that's the point of it.
That's fun because then it's ones you wouldn't have picked yourself.
Yeah.
Or might not have picked yourself.
Licorice Pizza,
Right.
new Paul Thomas Anderson film.
That did really well. Like I remember everyone talking about that.
Star Trek The Motion Picture.
It was interesting. I've not seen any of these so far. I've seen Titanic.
Yeah.
But other than that. So like that's interesting.
I watched Star Trek The Motion Picture on the 11th of February and was like, this is the start of my Star Trek journey. Not
I
watched
watched
another
it
one.
since.
However, they're showing Star Trek 2 in the cinema, so I might try and catch
Take
it.
your dad.
Yes. Pitch Perfect.
Seen that unfortunately.
Watched that at
Not proud to say
Iona's.
I've watched that.
It was not a fan. The Power of the Dog. A little bit disappointing. I thought it was a bit
That's one
overhyped.
with Benedict Cumberbatch, right?
Benedict Cumberbatch. Notting Hill. Choice of Cameron McLeod on The Good
Still
Bit.
never seen that.
Jerry Maguire.
Still never seen that.
Choice of John Crooks when he was on.
This is maybe I shouldn't be saying that. I haven't seen these films.
Yeah, it's a movie podcast.
It's embarrassing.
Tick Tick Boom.
I've seen that one.
Yeah.
Still my number one film I've watched this year, even though it came out last year. But
Yeah.
I watched it this year.
Coda. Won Best Picture, didn't it? Won Best Picture?
think so.
Yeah,
I think
very
so.
deserving, very good film. And an underrated film and like low budget with a good message and stuff. And these films never win. So I was very happy that one did. The Fault in Our Stars.
I've seen that.
There you go. That was a recommendation from Iona. Encanto.
We love Encanto. don't
Recommended by Rachel. Yeah, Rachel, my sister, and chosen by Rachel Keeler on the podcast.
Oh.
Just Rachel's
we?
everywhere.
It must be a Rachel thing.
There Will Be Blood.
From Encanto to There Will Be Blood.
The Fault in Our Stars. There Will Be Blood. Chosen by actor Ewan Miller on the podcast. So if you want to hear, conversations about these films, go find those ones. Meet the Parents. That's a fun one. The Master. I watched that in preparation to do a podcast with Aaron Dockard, and then we just never did the podcast. Pirates of the Caribbean. The Curse of the Black Pearl. I have seen that before. I watched it when I was really, really young when it came out, but it was so long. I consider these films first time watches because not only is
No, I can't
my
remember
kind
any.
of like perception changed, also it's like it's been so long since I've seen it.
I know, I've definitely seen, I don't know if I've seen all of the Pirates of the Caribbean ones, but I've definitely seen most of them, if not all of them, and I can't really remember anything about any of them, and I would love to rewatch them. It's finding the time to start.
I know, they're quite long as well. Mean Girls, chosen by Dion Frate. Dead Poets Society.
That's mine.
And Hook, chosen by Tyler Collins recently on.
Finished
on the podcast.
off with 2 Robin Williams films.
2 Robin Williams. Also watched The Social Network, watched the original Star Wars trilogy, Avengers Assemble.
This is rewatches.
Rewatches.
He has seen Star Wars before.
In Bruges, Bullets Over Broadway, Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, Captain America the Winter Soldier, Still the Dark World. So those are rewatches. But yeah, and then those are ones that came out not this year. Films in the cinema. I'll just run through them. Why not? We're going for it. Jackass Forever, Death on the Nile, The Tinder Swindler. That wasn't in the cinema. That was on Netflix. The Batman, The Duke, which was quite underrated. X, which is underrated, and it's a sleeper. You're not going to even have heard of it. The Lost City.
What, X?
X.
I've heard of X.
Have you?
Unfortunately.
Yeah, it's good.
I've not
Morbius
seen it.
wasn't great.
Morbius was good fun. I had a great time.
All right.
Other than the fact I'm scared of birds and there was a lot of bats, but other than that.
Operation Mincemeat. It's a real name. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Everything Everywhere All at Once. Lightyear.
Good.
Going to be underrated.
Just been put on Disney Plus as well.
Elvis. Thor, Love and Thunder. Not Okay. Oh, remember that one?
That's Ellen O'Brien's one.
Yeah, it was not a fan. And Where the Crawdads Sing. What a lovely segue right into our film
Lovely. That was the last one. Stop it.
this week. Alright, so this week's film is Where the Crawdads Sing. Why did I have so much difficulty trying to pronounce that name for the longest time?
I think everyone did. Mum kept mentioning it as well, and she kept going like, it's a strange name for a film. And I would go, well, it's from a book, like that's what the book's called. But still, like that's... And I was like, it's because of the quote. And then I had to explain. And then I was like, it's a type of bird. And I was like, look, I didn't write the name of the film, okay?
Yeah.
Like,
Who wrote the book?
Delia Owens.
Oh, that's a good name.
I know. True.
Delia?
Don't...
It's not Delilah? Delilah? Is it Delilah?
Is it not Delilah? I believe it's Delia.
I'm not properly warmed up.
I believe it's Delilah. No! You've got me confused!
It's Delilah. Delia.
It's Delia, I believe.
Right.
But I could be wrong. Maybe it's Delilah. I've been seeing...
Alright, I can see it now. I guess I would say Delia?
No.
Delia? Delia?
I'd say Delia Owens. That's what I would say.
Alright.
But then it could be...
It doesn't look like Delilah. This was directed by Olivia Newman.
Yes, and also Reese Witherspoon had involvement in the film, and I still can't figure out what she had involvement with, but she kept posting about it and like so proud of our film. She's not in the film, she's not the director, so I presume
Producer?
I think she's like a producer or whatever, something
I'll
like
find
that,
that out in a
which is
sec.
kind of cool to have a big name in like that. But yeah, it was one of the main things about it was that I think they did so well in keeping it like the book.
That's one of the things she said immediately after they came out the cinema.
It was one of those books that when I heard it was turning into a film, I was like, how are they going to do this? Because the book follows, I don't know the word right, I should know this as an English student, but I don't. You know when a book follows like two separate plot points or like timelines or something, so like some of the chapters are in, like it follows her from being a kid, which you see in the film, being a kid up until she's like an adult, trying to survive. And then...
Is that just non-linear?
No, but... Yes, but maybe like dual like storylines. I don't know, because it's not like it's like it's happening at the same point. So then you also have the police officers and stuff trying to solve the case. So it's like from two different kind of perspectives, sort of thing. And I wasn't sure how they were going to do that in the film because I was like, how are they going to show like this happening, but she was also here at this point. Like in the book, you've kind of got, well, they're solving this, but she's out doing this with this person. So like, whatever they're talking about doesn't relate to what she's doing.
Yeah.
But then it all links up. And I was thinking, how are you going to do this in a film? But they did it really well, I think, in terms of like, I don't think it was that confusing. I know you said there was a few parts where you were kind of like stuff just happened,
right?
And you didn't like think about it as much. But I think for a film, like they did quite well with it.
Yeah, and that was my only critique. Things just kind of happened, and I think it's because it's like book to film. In the book, you've got a lot of time to just kind of like explain stuff. Yeah. That's like for like the Harry Potter books, like they're huge, but it's because every little detail is explained.
Yeah.
I mean, the films are like over 2 hours, and you're like, well, what about
There's
that
still
part?
stuff missing.
There's still stuff. So that's going to happen, you know. So I did think that. But then every time I was like, where did that come from? I was like, well, clearly that was a bigger part in the book or whatever.
Who was the one I said... What was the actor? Was it for Tate? I think it was the character of Tate. I was like, that's not what I thought he'd look like.
Yeah.
And I always think that's dead funny with book to film adaptations. Like, I don't really, like, cause it's not one of those books I've, like, reread or, like, obsessed over or whatever. I don't really remember how he was described in the book, but I had obviously, like, a wee picture in my head when I was reading it. I was like, oh, okay. Like, I see it, cool. But like, I really like Daisy Edgar Jones as being Kaya.
Kaya's a nice name. I've never heard that before.
I pure wasn't sure when I was reading it if it was Kia or Kaya, but I presumed it was Kaya because it was Y rather than an I.
Closest thing I can think of is Kyra, who is Keenan's sister in Keenan and Kel.
Another episode of The Good Bit Chris has done with Teal
Marchand, Cheryl Rockmore from Keenan and Kel. Her episode was episode...
You're downgrading a bit, going from the heart to me.
Her episode, I believe, was episode 101, right? And I was like, it's another Nickelodeon show. Like, I wish it was Zoe 101.
Oh my God,
you
so
know.
true.
To answer your question from earlier, Reese Witherspoon is an executive producer.
Ah, there you go.
And with the Crawdads
I knew she was
Sing.
involved somehow. But yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. I liked, they even put in quotes from the book. And I could tell that... That
must have been nice, yeah.
I could tell that without even really knowing the book that well. Like, without it being like... So, like, for example, with my favourite books, I can tell you quotes off the top of my head and what book it's from and who said it and all that. That's not one of the ones I can do that with, but I like recognise them as quotes from the book in the film. So they obviously did it so well. To that point, they finished it on the same way the book ended as well, like the same line.
What, is it
at
not,
the end of the film.
It's just the title?
Yeah, it says
Away
where
with
the Crawdads Sing.
Yeah, that's nice.
And what was the other thing we were going to say? Oh yeah, some of the scenes in the film of like over the beach and the water and the sky and everything literally was like almost spot on as the book cover. Mind you, like even I recognised it. Because the book covers like this lovely like pink like sunset.
Yeah, you'd be amazed like how much thought goes into these things
I know,
that we would watch in a film and not even think about. Like for example, you know, someone's obviously went like, we need to have the skyline look the same as the book cover.
Crazy though, because that's not something you can control. So it's like crazy that they
well,
got that.
They probably can control it in some way. Like they probably just got a skyline and mixed with the colours a
No, I
little
know,
bit.
but
But you're right.
Like filming in that environment,
what
like
if
the
that
marsh
happens?
is. Like they obviously went to a specific marsh, knowing what it was going to, you know, look like in comparison to how it's described in the book and stuff. Because that's one of the things in the book that's like quite repetitive that I kind of got lost with, was just they're always talking about the marsh, which is obviously the point.
Yeah.
Always talking about the marsh, the birds, the feathers, the stones, the sand, the sea, and I was like, right. But it comes across really well, I think, in the film.
That's good that, you know, sometimes you get these film adaptations of books and you're like, that's not right. Like you watched All the Bright Places, one of your favourite books of all time.
My favourite book of all time. And they just don't even start me on that. What did they do to that film? What did they do?
So was it a story issue? I know you didn't like the casting.
No, right, so the casting, my problem with the casting for All the Bright Places was the girl was already the fan cast for the girl for Violet. So that was like, I kind of expected her. I think her name's Elle Fanning. I think that's the girl that did it. She, I hadn't really watched her or anything else, didn't really know her, like, whatever, like, that was fine. I wasn't, like, bothered about that. I could kind of see what they were going for. And the boy, right, that they cast for Finch, now, I take anything very personally about Theodore Finch, like, do not attack me on Theodore Finch, that was really hard to say there. But the thing with it was, right, I think his name's Justice Smith, the actor that played him. Justice Smith, right?
I like that.
He seems really, like, I want him in more stuff, like, he's good and I really like him. I think I'd seen him in something before, I can't really remember what. But, like, I was like, oh, like, I recognised who he was when they cast him and everything. But when I tell you they couldn't have picked someone that looked more different than how he's described, I'm not even joking. Finch is meant to be this tall, lanky, like, really pale, like, so alarmingly pale boy with, like, bright blue eyes, like, dark black hair. Like, how did you cast Justice Smith? Like, he's a good actor, nothing against him being, like, cool, and, like, I'm sure he played him well, I'm sure he like, did his research to get... Why just cast someone that look... I don't get it, right? And then, not only that, the film starts... Why am I ranting about All the Bright Places?
I knew this was happening.
I shouldn't have brought it up. The film starts with something that, like, not even from the start of the book. Like, there's like a whole thing that happens at the start of the book that sets up the whole book.
It's just
not even in the film.
Not in that.
Not even in the film.
No.
Half of the like main points of this book weren't even in this film, and like I don't understand, because Jennifer Niven that wrote the book is like, my Finch and Violet, and she's like obsessed with them. She's like, oh my god, they've done my, like, I love the love for it. Like, now all the, sorry, that was not coming out. I love the love for my, like, film and whatever.
Right.
And like, obviously she's going to be supportive of it. But like, I'm see, if that was me, I'd be like, I'd like
What
brush it
have
under
you
the
done?
carpet. Like I'd be like, right, hang on. Like I know it's an adaptation. It's not meant to be identical, right? But like look at Perks of Being a Wallflower, for example. They did that so well. Like I think they've done Perks, because I watched the film Perks and it was already my favourite film before I read the book. But even reading the book, I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Like they literally just turned it into this pure cinematic film.
Yeah.
But used the basis of these letters, because that
That's
book's
good.
entirely written in letters.
Uh-huh.
So like that was obviously a change, but they did it perfectly. Well, in my opinion, obviously not everybody's
And then they
gonna
came
think
out with
that.
this monstrosity. Right, relax. Whoo, breathe. It's fine.
But like now all the fan art and anything you get made of All the Right Places
It's the actors.
Finch and Violet from the film, and I'm like, that's not Finch or Violet really,
That's
but
not
it kind of
Finch.
is. Anyway.
And a sort of lesser passionate note, I mentioned this last week, I think. I watched the Staircase documentary series on Netflix. So I don't have an emotional connection to that one. It wasn't a book first. But the documentary series came out in 2003, and then they kind of like redone it all for like 2018 for Netflix. And then Sky and HBO Max did like a TV show version of it, and they cast Colin Firth as the guy, and I was like, what a strange casting that is. Anyway, I'll watch it. Watch the first episode, and immediately, it's not that the stuff were wrong, but they were just like over exaggerating
This
stuff.
is really interesting because the thing with Colin, like, was that the TV adaptation with Colin Firth was so talked about, really popular. I even saw it, like, I don't really watch TV stuff like that unless someone really, really, really tells me to. So I knew Mum and Dad were watching it and everything, and I was like, maybe I should watch it because it's like true crime, like whatever. And I was like, it looks really good. And then you said that, and you were like, because I've seen you've seen the documentary. I'm saying you said that, like, you knew instantly. Like, it's interesting without knowing.
But I can't say what they did was wrong. I was just like, yeah, but that wasn't as big of a deal as you're making out to be. Like,
That's what I don't like.
It's not coming across the way it actually was. Like, things like that.
Yeah.
It's like if you were in charge, you'd be like, yeah, but that's not right. I need to change that.
That's the other thing with All the Right Places, is that it got like really trended on like TikTok and everything, and everyone was like, you need to watch this really heartbreaking film.
Yeah.
Like, it's such
People
a
have
good
not
love
read the
story.
book,
Like, you need to watch this. But I knew those people hadn't read the book, and that's fine if you're just watching it as a film. I'm sure it's a good, like, it's one of those like Netflix films like The Kissing Booth and maybe Not Okay, I've not seen that, but like those type of films, like sure, like I'm sure it's a good Netflix film, but I can't watch it without it being tainted. Do you know what I mean? Like, I have to think of it from the book because it's my favourite book.
And this is another thing. See, when people tell you immediately how great something is, I don't care what it is, you are going to not like it as much. And it's like, you need to see this. You'll have no idea what to expect. Oh my god. And then you watch it and you're like, I need to see, right, okay, let's watch this then. And then you're like, right, I've watched
This is why we circle back to Song of Achilles, kind of Crawdads, like, this also kind of ties in, which is kind of random, Coco, like the film Coco.
Uh-huh.
Everyone just went on about like, oh, I cry so much every time I watch it, this film, and I was like, yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
Like, Song of Achilles, everyone sobbed over that book to the point that I knew it was going to be sad, I knew something was going to happen. So I'm sitting reading it going, alright, like, cool. Like, I wasn't like really that fussed, and I was like, okay, I can understand I like it, but...
If you just watched Coco, you'd never heard Coco before, you just watched it, I bet you would have been like, yeah, it was good, and then there's this bit and there's this bit and this bit, and you'd be more enthusiastic about it.
Because it was good, I just was like, okay.
But immediately, because it's not as good as people say, there's immediately a negative in it, and that's just not... Like, my opinions are swayed so easily. So when that happens, like, you need to see this. Like, for example, like the new Batman film was a big one, right? It's like, you need to. I mean, this new Batman, it just changes everything, and it was a good film. Like, I think Rob did a really good job, and it's like, but that's it. You know what I mean?
Rob. We call him Rob.
Robert Pattinson did a really good job.
Our bats.
But that's it. Like, it didn't change my life. You know what I mean?
I know.
Anyway, we're chatting about.
There was something else I was going to say about Crawdads, and it totally escaped me.
You're talking about the way that they've kind of matched a lot of stuff in the book. Daisy Edgar Jones, Reese Witherspoon.
That was really interesting. So I'm tapping your leg.
That's alright.
His leg. You know, that was interesting that I heard from you when we came out to cinema was you said you didn't know she wasn't American.
Oh yes.
And it's quite an obscure accent to hold, I think, because it's like the Marsh. It's kind of like, where would that be? Like New Orleans, kind of.
I don't know, if I'm honest. I think
I don't
they
know
mentioned
if
that.
New Orleans might be really far off. I'm really not a geography person, but it was like that kind of southern, like twang in an accent and everything. I think that's quite a hard one to do.
Absolutely, I thought her accent was
and I was
excellent.
like, she did well. Like, I thought it was really good. Like, I was like, oh, she did well holding that because I know how she actually sounds. And Chris was like, is she not American?
Where is she from?
I don't know exactly.
Like the Midlands
Do
or
you want me to look it up?
I can do it. I've got her up here.
She is, I think her family's from like...
She says raised in London.
See, I think I could be wrong, but I have a feeling she has family members from Scotland and possibly family members from Ireland, and she was raised in England, so I think she would be like...
Her dad is Scottish and Wendy's from Northern Ireland, her mum.
I'm not even like, I don't know why I know that. Do you know what it is?
And
what?
And she's younger than me.
She is younger than you.
God.
Because in normal people, they're from Ireland, and they both have really strong Irish accents, so I just presumed they were both Irish, like actors, because they were like up and coming. I hadn't heard of them, like I thought it was what they had done. And Paul Mescal, who played Connor in Normal People, he is Irish, I believe, anyway. I could be wrong. I'm fairly certain he's Irish. And that'll be a shock of the century, I find out he's not Irish. But Daisy Edgar Jones started speaking, and I was like, oh my god, she's not Irish. I was like, hold on. And she was like, no, I'm not Irish. And then she did Fresh, and she was American, and like, it's just interesting. Because I remember, I think she was on Graham Norton or something, and they were like, where are your accent from? Like, it's really bizarre.
Director Olivia Newman, always nice to see films from female directors. She has also directed a series called FBI, Dare Me, Chicago PD, Chicago Fire, and a film called First Match, if anybody's seen those ones.
Do you think, this is kind of a filmsy question for you, do you think there's specific types of films that either are apparent or should have female directors / male directors? So like, that's the type of film, it's obviously from Kaya's perspective of like all the hate everybody gives her, and like, without spoilers, like disrespect towards her, like all the male like violence in her life and all that. So it's like,
that should be handled by a female.
Does it show that a female directed that, do you think? Because also a female wrote the book. Alright. So then I'm thinking, I wonder if that comes across in the story, because as much as people say books aren't from, like, obviously it's fiction, right? It still comes from that person. Like, so it's still their interpretation, I think. Of course.
I don't necessarily think it should. Like, I didn't walk out going, that was done by a female.
No, but I don't mean in, like, a bad way.
Yeah. But I think, like, something that's as serious as that should probably be dealt with a female director. And maybe someone who has been through that, I don't know. So this film that I didn't like, Not Okay, I don't know who directed that one, but that was like, that should have been directed by a young person that has maybe gone through hard times and stuff, and it just seemed a bit as if it wasn't. It was done by an older... this is what I don't know what it was, but this is what it seemed like. It looked like it was done by a parent that was like, this is what social media is like. Right, yeah. Which really frustrated me.
See, this is what I'm thinking. So like The Social Network, for example, which we won't talk about too much, but The Social Network that we just recently watched, like I saw for the first time.
Oh no, it wasn't.
That makes sense to me, that would be done by a male director, like a young male director that's really into the subject. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like you can presume, and then all of a sudden you can find, like, Hughes just found out, what is it, a young female that did?
It's a young female who's 2 years older than me, so there you go.
That's bizarre, isn't it? Like, you think. It's interesting. Anyway, the way, it's one of those things I don't think about the director of a film sometimes when I watch them, like, because obviously you're supposed to try and watch more diverse and stuff, but I don't even notice. Like, I don't go, I'm going to watch this film.
I reckon you would if you paid more attention to that. You know, there'd be like, when you're reading, like, from a same author, you go, this is very much like the last book.
No, but I do that, but what I'm saying is when I pick a film to watch, I don't go, I should really watch by this, like, American young female director, and then pick a film from
like,
that.
Maybe like black cinema,
I'll just watch
or like
whatever film I want to watch.
Yeah, like an Asian film or something.
But like, I bet there's more diverse directors that I've seen that I don't even realise.
I bet you have.
It's kind of annoying to a point where you don't know.
Taylor John Smith played Tate Walker.
Who? Tate? Sorry, I wasn't listening enough there. Tate, yep.
Did do a good job?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think so. I'm trying to think about... Oh, it was Jodie that annoyed me. It didn't annoy me, but it just wasn't what I pictured in my head, but he was fine. Jodie was our brother.
Oh yeah, played by Logan Macri.
Literally not a big part at all. It didn't matter. I was just like, that wasn't what I'd pictured in my head. I was like, is that Jodie? But other than that, chill. Didn't really do much. He's cool.
Yeah, and then there was Harris Dickinson playing Chase.
He was not the actor. Like, as in, obviously he played it well to the point he was annoying. Yeah, you didn't like him. The minute he came on, you were like, oh, I was like, going to shut up. But that's the point.
I also think that's good because it shows that the guy who played Tate did a really good job making them a really likeable couple.
That's another thing I said. I should talk about this.
Well, that was your time.
I know, but I'm rambling. You should talk for a bit.
No, I talk every week. I thought they did a really good job of Tate and Kaya being a really likeable couple. So you wanted them to get together, which is hard sometimes. So then when the other guy comes along, you're like, oh, it's not as good as the other guy.
This is what I'm saying, right? I said to you as well when we left the cinema, I liked how there was so much that was apparent. Sorry, I'm getting all my words scrambled. There was so many things that were like opposites between Chase and Tate that they did. Like, they did, obviously it's in the book as well, like, to an extent. Like, you're not supposed to like Chase, you like Tate. It's just the way the book's written. But it was very apparent just by looking at them. Like, one had lighter hair, one had really dark hair, one
had
wore
blue
black
eyes.
clothes all the time, one wore like shirts, like button up shirts, like was like cutesy, like better nice. Environment. And then like even he has his relationship with his dad and everything, like he just as like the kind of like the golden boy, like the good one that's like away to uni and has this life and blah blah. And then there's just like Chase, who like just a bit of an idiot, like mess about with his pals, doesn't really have much else going for him, like the way
he's
they
a
look.
layabout.
Like, they did that quite well, I think, because like even without reading the book, I think that must have come across quite apparent that like she's not going to end up with this guy. Like, this guy is not good for her.
I thought Sterling Macer Jr. playing Jumpin, the shopkeeper, I thought they did a really good job. He
perfect
was really,
in my head. Like,
was he perfect?
They did really well with that. I was wondering who, I didn't know before we went in, I also knew Daisy Edgar Jones, but that was only really casting.
Daisy Edgar Jones.
But like, I was sitting going, when's Jumpin coming in? Like, when's Jumpin? And what was her name? Mabel? No.
Mabel, yeah.
Mabel.
Played by Michael Hyatt. Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, oh, bless him. I wish they'd had a wee bit more scenes with Jumpin, because like Mabel really takes care of Kaya in the book. So does Jumpin, but like you did see that quite a bit. But there's quite a lot of interactions with Mabel in the book, and there wasn't so much in. But I really liked in. Are we spoilers?
Sure.
Yes, no.
Yeah, just I mean, I think if people are listening, they would have seen it.
Okay, so in the like court scene when they're in the court, like I love that they have Jumpin, Mabel, and then Jodie and Tate and Tate's dad like all sit front row like for her sort of thing. Like, it's cute because it's kind of like that's her wee family. Yeah. Like all the wee people that have taken care of her.
I like things like that when it's not it's not family. It's like someone you're just close to because of reasons. Like, that's really nice.
That's one of my favourite book tropes. It's called Found Family. It's a trope. Cool. That's why I love All for the Game so much.
All for the Game. Shout out to All for the Game.
Not a sad book.
But yeah, enjoyed. It's not going to be. It's not going to win my favourite film of the year or anything.
Yeah.
But I thought it was good considering the fact that I knew nothing about the book, nothing about the story. I didn't even know what a crawdad was.
Still don't really. It's a bird. I know it's a bird.
But I liked it. Yeah.
I liked going into it. Like, for All the Bright Places, for example, I knew I was going to have so many reservations about the film before I'd even seen it, because it was my favourite book. But I liked that I'm not obsessed with the book, so then I could go into the film
and like, enjoy it.
I want to see what they do. Like,
for
it's
what
fun.
It was.
Like, you know, and I actually really liked it, what they did. Kind of on par, I think, with the book and the film.
Yeah.
Whereas I think the same with Perks, so it's cool.
Just as we're finishing up here, tell the people about what you're doing with the Marvel shows right now, trying to pack all them in before you start watching She-Hulk.
Oh yeah, so She-Hulk's out now, I think. The first episode's out.
First episode's out.
On Disney Plus, and in the trailer for She-Hulk, there is an appearance by Daredevil, and so that means he's going to be in the show somehow, even if it's like just a cameo or whatever. Like, right. I don't know yet.
It's the next part of his story, essentially.
Yeah, like, because it's building up to, what's it called? I don't know.
His film, yeah.
His new show is coming out.
Film show, yeah.
Yeah. So I had started watching like the Defenders series. Like, that's one of those things like Avengers. We need to say Avengers Assemble, because there's a show called The Defenders, but also there's the separate shows. They are grouped in as The Defenders.
Right.
So I started watching Daredevil and like Jessica Jones, and I'd only seen season 1 of each because apparently you watched them in order. I didn't know this when I started watching. Thank God I looked it up, because I can't believe like people watch this not in order. Like, I was about to. I didn't know. I was just going to watch all of Daredevil, then maybe watch Jessica Jones if I felt like it or whatever. Turns out they're all interlinked. They're all interconnected. People will
literally just like go on Netflix, start episode 1, season 1 of Daredevil, and just let the whole thing play and watch all the way up to season 3. Do you know what I mean? Like, and that'll be it.
Like, yeah. So I was doing that, and then I realised he was going to be in She-Hulk, and I was like, even if it's just one thing, what if they touch on something that happened at the end of Daredevil where we left off with the character? Like, obviously he was in Spider-Man, but it was one scene. Right. So it wasn't that big of a deal. Like, now I know he's still a lawyer, but other than that, like, there's not much, you know. So I was like, I need to get to the end of Daredevil. But to get to the end of season 3 of Daredevil means I had to watch these 7 seasons, or like single seasons, of these shows before Daredevil. Plus there's still stuff after that, but to get to Daredevil, that's...
And these are how many episodes per season?
13, right? So I've managed up until... So I watched... What did I watch? So obviously this is...
I don't know how you
Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, and The Punisher. Right? Which The Punisher doesn't... Like, he was in Daredevil, but, like, he doesn't... Like, I think now he's... I don't know. Obviously, I've not watched season 2 of that yet, but I don't think... Well, actually, I don't know. Anyway, and The Defenders. That's another one. That was 5 shows then.
Yeah.
No, 6 shows then. Basically,
a lot of shows.
Basically, I've been doing this and I'm a bit mixed up with my noggin. So I finished Luke Cage last night. Last ever episode of Luke Cage. I was like, bye. Not thrilled about the ending, but that's okay. And then started Iron Fist this morning. So I've got another 12 episodes of Iron Fist to watch. And then I've got 13 episodes of Daredevil to watch. And then I've got She-Hulk. And then, well, hopefully, because what if Daredevil's in, or mentioned, I don't think he is though, in Jessica Jones season 3 or The Punisher season 2.
Well, again, I should say, it doesn't mean that, you know, Daredevil's going to come up in like episode 1 of She-Hulk. Like maybe it's going to be in the finale and it's going to.
But I'm like, I feel like later on. I'm worried about spoilers, so I need to do it just to be safe.
It's just the world we live in now. You're just going to need to deal with it.
I already saw. I saw Chris Evans tweeted something about She-Hulk. And I was immediately like, because I was like, why is he tweeting about it?
All he did was put laughing emojis.
I know.
That was it.
I saw that, but I'm like, what's he talking about? Like, there's obviously been something mentioned.
It's just been funny, obviously. It's just been a funny episode.
No, because then I also saw something on TikTok, and it was like, it was the caption. I didn't watch the clip, but it was like a thing from it, and the caption was like, all the mentions with crying faces, and I was like, I was like, get away. So I'm trying. So basically, moral story is, I'm going back upstairs to watch Iron Fist.
You can do that.
Who I love.
You love him?
I love him. And he got so much hate.
No. Thank you for joining me in this last episode.
You're so welcome to listen to my ranting voice for about an hour.
It's good. Thank you very much, everybody, for listening to this episode of the Good Bit Podcast. Take care of yourselves, and we'll catch you all down the road.
Citizens